podcast designed to fill your passenger seat with chat about classic cars, all recorded from my 1968 Morris Minor Peggy. I'm Becca and today I'm on my way to work. First kind of Monday back in the office as normal without any kind of other work, so the commute is back on for Peggy now for the foreseeable. So excited to kind of get a lot more regular use back out of her. But she had quite a lot of use this weekend actually, as we went to our first kind of show / meet of the season, which is what today's podcast is about. My quirk of classic car ownership for you today is that the kind of immense amount of pride that you feel when you're kind of stood a little bit away from your car, but you notice that somebody is kind of taking lots of photos of it, or kind of having a good look around it, and it's just really nice to see somebody appreciating what is obviously something you're very proud of. Like I said, we're back on with event reviews. It's probably not going to be a regular feature for the rest of this season because there's not actually too much on at this time of year, but I was really missing taking Peggy out, parking up around lots of other cars, and generally just enjoying a nice kind of day out in her. So I had hoped, I'd seen kind of advertised before Christmas and stuff, Vista Scramble, and I've not been to that before. However, I didn't get myself sorted and organised soon enough, somewhat underestimated how popular and how many other people would be feeling like they were missing shows. So I missed out on tickets to that, so I was then kind of quickly scouring Facebook events and things like that to try and find something to do. And this event that I'd seen kind of pop up a few times actually kind of came round again. It's a kind of monthly meet that's held in Harborough in Leicestershire, and it's held in a car park that's not used on weekends because it's part of kind of an industrial estate. And it's turn up, doesn't matter, you don't have to be part of any club or anything. You pay £3 and you're kind of there for as long as or as little as you want. So it seemed like a really good kind of event, exactly really what I was looking for with this kind of time of year, and it wasn't too far. Google Maps said it was going to be about an hour away, so that's a little bit longer than Peggy, but not too far. So it sounded like a nice little trip to make on a Sunday morning to get kind of my fix of classic car meets for the year. Well, the start of the year anyway. Headed off Sunday morning. The event started at 9, but we were kind of aiming to get there for 10, left just before 9, and actually went a really nice kind of route. It wasn't kind of too busy on the roads and things, being quite early on a Sunday morning, so we went kind of along the A47 and then the A43, and it was really quite nice. There was a few kind of muddy cars and things like that, so by the time we got there we were a little bit dirtier than when we'd left, but that's fine. I've always got a few little cloths and things in the back to rub off the worst of it when we get to anywhere, so that was fine. Lovely little drive, nice dry sunny morning, and we were all wrapped up and everything, so not cold at all, especially with the heater and everything, so that was good. Got there for about 10 o'clock. And we knew that our friend Lewis and Chelsea were going to be there. Unfortunately, Agnes is still running in her new engine, so they were there in their modern, parked kind of round the corner discreetly, and we met up with them pretty much not long after we arrived, said hello, and then because it was kind of still early in the morning, still cold and everything, our first thought was a bit of warm drink or food, and luckily they've got kind of a little burger van there at this morning meet, so we were able to get a hot drink before we started looking around the cars. And I was actually quite surprised at the kind of variety of things that were there. There was everything from kind of Land Rovers to your Minis, your Volkswagen Beetles, but also some kind of rarer stuff. There was a DeLorean that was all done up in its kind of Back to the Future gear, with everything that you could possibly imagine fitted to it. There was some really nice kind of 80s Lotuses, and yeah, just a real kind of mix of things that you perhaps wouldn't expect to see necessarily at a morning meet. But I think because it was kind of a little local thing for most people, and actually afterwards when we kind of drove through some of the local villages to get some food, it was pretty well advertised locally. So some of the, again, that sort of thing where with these local shows, where someone who's got something really quite nice, they're gonna make the effort to take it out to a little local show like that, give it a run, especially at this time of year, to give it kind of a bit of a run, make sure it's not all seized or anything, and also it's not too far. You're not going to kind of be putting too many miles on something that's a bit more unusual. But also there was kind of a much wider variety. I'm just trying to think. There's some big American cars, some Pontiacs and things, which I'm not that familiar with. But yeah, it was a really nice kind of collection of cars. And also the good thing about it was that because it was so casual and relaxed and things, like people were leaving, but then other cars were still arriving. So you had that opportunity to kind of see stuff as they were coming in and hear the engines and things, stuff as they were leaving and hear the engines and things. There was also a little section for kind of bikes and motorbikes, which was quite nice, and a gorgeous little red GPO bike that was there, a BSA that was for kind of General Post Office, that was really nicely done up and like sympathetically done. It wasn't over restored, but it worked, and we managed to hear that kind of riding off and stuff at the end as well, which was really nice. So we had a nice little wander round. I started off by kind of filming a lot of what we could see, and having a look at some things really kind of, it was nice that even though it was a little small kind of casual event, some people had still bought kind of their little like show boards or their little kind of accessories that they display with the car. So there was a lovely Wolseley police car that was kind of had all the police stuff on it, like the bell and the sign and things on the front, but they also had like an old police uniform and some police kind of stuff on the steering wheel, like handbooks and stuff for police driving, which was really nice to see as well. Like not just, we're only taking it out for a ride, we won't bother with that sort of stuff. Some people had made a really good effort. So in terms of kind of cars of the show that really kind of, well, that kind of really made it for me, the GPO bike, I suppose a vehicle more than a car there, was something that really caught my eye, and I spent a lot of time kind of not only filming, but also I'd taken my film 35mm film camera and had been taking some photos, and that was really lovely to try and get some nice shots of. Hopefully they turn out well. And then there was this one Land Rover Defender that was done up with kind of Boy Scout stuff that I really quite took a liking to. Very nicely done, really nicely presented and everything. But I guess those all fall under honourable mentions, because like I said, cars were kind of coming and going throughout the event. And a little bit later on, this really gorgeous like mustardy yellow, I don't know the official kind of colour for it, Morris 1300 turned up, and it was just such a stunning colour, and I really loved the kind of look of it, and I've always kind of liked the look of those kind of era of the Morrises and the Austins and the Wolseleys, and it was just really nicely kind of coloured. It was clearly loved and out a bit because it had some kind of bird poo and stuff on it that hadn't quite been wiped off, and so it wasn't necessarily the shiniest thing there, but it was certainly a lovely car that was clearly kind of loved and used, and in pretty decent condition regardless, and just such a stunning colour. It wasn't one that I'd seen it in. I'm not sure if it was an original colour option available, but it just really stood out. Like, I remember being stood where we were parked, which was the other side of the car park, and kind of seeing that colour across and saying, oh, I don't remember seeing that yellow thing when we were there, and so we kind of walk over and it just really stood out, and it was just a gorgeous colour, and I can imagine taking photos and things of that in kind of autumn, and it just being absolutely stunning, because yeah, it was lovely. So I spent a lot of time looking at that as well. We spent about 2 and a bit hours there. You probably could have spent more time there, but it was at a time when we realised that kind of more cars were leaving than were turning up. So we decided that we'd start wrapping up and things and heading off. But we'd had a really lovely morning. It had been such a nice drive over. It had been so nice to kind of walk around the cars. There'd been some people that had kind of come over and spoke to us, obviously Lewis and Chelsea, and then these guys, Bradley and Peter, were also there. So we had a bit of a chat with them, and then some other people came and spoke to us. And also there was some times where I was kind of a little bit further back taking photos of other cars and things like that, and you could see other people enjoying. Peggy, I saw some children kind of enjoying the Lego figures and stuff that I've got in here, which is always quite nice. And yeah, it was just a really nice event. And again, as with any car event, there was also a good selection of dogs, which is always nice on a Sunday morning, to kind of walk around and spot the dogs and the cars and the owners. So yeah, we headed off, quite locally found a nice little pub for some Sunday lunch, and had a really enjoyable drive back. The drive back was again kind of through these lovely villages, and then the A43 and A47, and didn't take us too long, which is always a bonus. And with that, we were kind of home by about 3:30, 4 o'clock-ish, which meant that there was kind of quite a lot of the day left at home to tidy Peggy up a little bit, pack her away, and then just have a really nice chill afternoon at home. And having had quite a nice morning out and things, which is obviously the bonus of these casual little morning meets, you can kind of work it around whatever else you've got on, especially at this time of year. You can also not have to book in. Obviously with some of the larger things that happen at this time of year, you do need to book in, but you can work it around whether the weather's nice enough to take your classic car out or whatever, which is quite nice. So if you're interested, if you're local, or if you fancy a bit of a decent run, these events are held monthly. I think it's every third Sunday, but you can find the Harborough Sports and Classic Club or Meet, or whatever it's called, on Facebook. If you kind of type in Harborough Classic Car, it will come up. But they're not necessarily only classic cars. We saw some kind of newer things as well turning up. So if you're looking for something to take a newer car or whatever, or even if you're not got your car out at this time of year and you're just missing seeing cars, then it's worth popping along to, because it was nicely organised, nicely chill, the kind of option of a bit of warm food and drink there, and just a decent selection of cars. And like I said, you can kind of fit it around whatever you've got on a weekend. Hopefully we will see a few more of these kind of event kind of reports coming back on to the podcast. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. But if you're not subscribed or following, depending if you're listening on YouTube or Spotify, make sure you're following along because we've got some exciting stuff planned for the rest of the series. And drive safely and happy motoring.